Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. Wolfie did not waste a single moment woofing there. I know we are kind of stuck. We took shelter in this forest here. I'm slightly concerned about the safety of such a place. Woof, so is Wolfie. There's a zombie over there. I'm like, what was that? Thought it was a squid who has evolved and is now walking on the surface. That would be scary. But yeah, we're back. We are indeed seemingly safe, and or at least for the time being. And we are going to continue going to the Far Lands here in Minecraft Beta 173 in episode 396 of Far Lands or Bust. It is Monday, August 25th, 2014. I hope everybody had a good weekend. A good weekend indeed. We are still raising money for Child's Play charity, farlandsorbust.com. Sorry, I probably should have made a boat, but I figured I could see the shores on which I was sailing and decided to swim instead. But yeah, we're still raising money for Child's Play charity at farlandsorbust.com. Up to $11,530 raised this season. All that going directly to Child's Play charity, helping get toys, books, games to kids in hospitals around the world. And remember that we're trying to reach $11,739, which was the first goal we reached, or total we reached during the first official charity season of Far Lands or Bust, and we're trying to do this before episode 400. It's episode 396. If you do your math properly, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, you will realize that the 400th episode will be not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, the 3rd of September? Yeah, the 3rd. The 3rd! So hopefully that is the case. We can reach that. I think we can. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll do a little bit of a ditty. No, I'll do something special. Like I said, a mini Flobathon live stream, sort of like a 4-hour for episode 400. Keep things moving along here, and I do appreciate the continued support there. But wow, we had all of last week episodes where I kept saying I can't find news items to talk about or to discuss in Far Lands or Bust. And today that has changed. We have a lot that I wish to discuss. We've got space news, we've got Comcast news, we've got things about gaming on the internet, gaming videos and streaming services. Whole bunch of stuff going on. I first and foremost wanted to mention that in space news there were a couple of missteps as far as space is concerned. We all know SpaceX, who do the Falcon 9, the Dragon capsule to the International Space Station, as well as commercial satellite launches and whatnot. They have been doing these tests of their landing system. It's basically what is known as the Falcon 9 R1. It's a test platform. It's basically the first stage of a Falcon 9 rocket, and they use it to test the landing system. The fact that they're going to, once the first stage of the rocket launches and disconnects the second stage and launches whatever it's launching into orbit, the first stage is going to turn around and return back to the launch pad, or launch site at least, so that it's as a reusable first stage, as opposed to, historically speaking, and pretty much every single context there has been thus far, first stages are just ditched and lost into the ocean, and it's kind of just lost resources and hardware, and that tends to drive up the cost of launches, so they're trying to recover this first stage, and they've been doing some tests. Quite a bunch of tests with this Falcon 9 R1, which, like I said, it has the landing legs and it flies up and kind of hovers. You've probably, if you're following my channel, then you've probably seen the YouTube videos on the SpaceX channel where they have quadcopters, the little drones who get aerial photography of it. They also have onboard cameras of The fact that this rocket lifts off, goes to a certain altitude, hovers around for a little bit, and then comes back down, and it's very impressive. You tend to lose the sense of scale, but the first stage of a Falcon 9 is what, like 28 stories tall? So it's pretty much a skyscraper. A skyscraper is lifting off of the ground, hovering 1,000 feet in the air, and then returning slowly and gently back to its launch pads, is basically what's happening there. And up until now, all those tests have gone fairly nominally. And you may have noticed I said up until now. Last week, their Falcon 9 R1 test was doing one of its tests. They were pushing the limits, they said. They were pushing it to its boundaries. The altitude, the speed, it did seem, in the amateur video that was released, it did seem like it was lifting up at an increased rapid rate versus previous tests, but reached a certain point. The computer, the onboard computer, found an anomaly, either in the engine or it had started to deviate. Maybe there were crosswinds or something. Something happened. We're still waiting on the full report, but something happened where the internal computer said, this isn't safe. I'm going to stop the test, and the only way to stop the test is to self-destruct. They are built in with a self-destruct, pretty much explosives that detonate the spacecraft to then burn whatever remaining fuel may be in the stage there and prevent any sort of out-of-control, awry rocket situation. This happens in McGregor, Texas. So it's like kind of in the middle of nowhere, but there is still populated areas within range. So this happens in McGregor, Texas, was their testing facility. And right now all we have is some amateur video. Obviously the people in the area, they have gotten used to these rocket tests from the SpaceX testing headquarters that's there, and they'll record it from a distance, but sure enough it goes up and then pop, it explodes, and there's a bunch of debris that falls, and it's actually, they say, the word from SpaceX, and even up until now, the very a quotable quote from Elon Musk is that with these grasshopper tests, he's like, I would be very surprised if we don't make a few craters with these tests. That is to say, we don't destroy some rockets. That's to say, he said we wouldn't, if we didn't blow up some rockets, then that means we're not pushing the envelope and testing thoroughly enough. So this is actually the first time anything of this anomaly has happened. So we'll be getting word, and I'm going to assume, unless they're just not going to release it, because they are a private company, they don't have to. It's not like it's a NASA thing. They don't have to release any footage, but I would be surprised if they weren't also recording that one with a drone, a UAV, quadcopter, as they have in the past ones, and if it survived, which I don't know, who knows? If it survived, we would have some very interesting footage from up close and personal in midair there of that rocket's self-destruct mode. So that could be interesting, but we're waiting for word. And they've also, they said this doesn't impact any of the actual Falcon 9. This was a test bed that doesn't impact any of the Falcon 9s that exist, but they are delaying. They do have a satellite launch that was set for Tuesday, but I think they set it back to Wednesday or Thursday. They're just making sure 100% that there's, the problem that happened with this test bed is something completely separate and doesn't, the system doesn't even exist, or the problem couldn't even exist on the live rocket that's actually going to send payload to space. So it's very interesting indeed. And also, this is an actual failure. There was a launch of a Soyuz spacecraft. It's actually from Arianespace, which is the French it's basically the French equivalent to SpaceX, I suppose. Arianespace launched a lot of satellites. They launched they were the ones who launched the ATV resupply ships to the International Space Station. They're basically they're a commercial spaceflight company. They launched 2 Galileo GPS satellites. Galileo is pretty much the European GPS satellites, much like we here in North America have a satellite constellation that covers our GPS. Galileo is like the next generation for Europe. Launch went fine, even through the broadcast, everything looked fine. Launch of this spacecraft was fine, but it turns out later on, whoopsie-daisy, these 2 GPS satellites have been put in the entirely wrong orbit. And if you know GPS satellites, they have to be in geosynchronous orbit, because then they'll stay over one pinpoint precision point over land. That way they triangulate your position on the ground. That's how GPS works. But by being in the wrong orbit, that kind of messes them up and makes them completely useless. So that's unfortunate. I'm sure there will be some thorough investigation as to why that happened. Ooh, that's a kind of a cool, like, little continent. I think we're gonna go right up that. It's a glacier. It's a glacier. It's coming down the hillside and doing whatever glaciers do. So yeah, a few very not so nominal space news, but let's go to sleep. Oh gosh, skeletons are spawning. Yeah, let's go to sleep. And I'm ready with my bonus. Ow, that was a longer drop than I anticipated. Hey, you. Receive an arrow. Ooh, I got him. Good job. Receive another one. Oh, you died prior to the arrow hitting you in the face. Woof. Ooh, careful. Watch your step here. That's a trap if I ever saw one. Go, Wolfie. Careful. Or careful, Wolfie, however. Oh, I said careful. Hey, hey! Oh, dang guy. Alright, spooky noises. Ooh, garage door noises. Whoops, oh, I hit F again. This dang keyboard. Foggy noises. Gotta figure that out. Alright, and a boop. Do you need one more? Yeah, now he's full up. I don't need that bone. That bone is useless. So yeah, space news. The next news I have is actually just before I started recording. We all know the rumor mill was milling, I guess, for the last couple months, saying that Google, the folks who own YouTube, were going to purchase Twitch for $1 billion. Twitch TV, obviously, for those who don't know, the live streaming, the gaming-centric live streaming site. Certain things were happening with Twitch. They implemented their own sort of content ID situation. Justin TV, which was the precursor to Twitch, shut down completely. And Twitch made a bunch of other changes to seemingly make themselves more attractive to a buyer. So everything was unconfirmed, despite what the clickbait headlines of the articles were. And unconfirmed reports from someone close to the deal says Google is going to buy Twitch for $1 billion. And then it went silent for a couple months, and then the story resurfaced again. Ooh, $1 billion. Google is going to buy Twitch. Gubba, 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 gubba. Turns out, to the surprise of nearly everybody, it was Amazon. This morning there was a report on Ars Technica that said, actually, the rumors are now saying it's going to be Amazon is going to be buying Twitch for $1 billion. And sure enough, a couple hours later, it became official, both on Twitch and Amazon's end. Amazon purchases Twitch.tv for $970 million. So let's just say $1 billion. What's 30 million between friends? It's actually quite a lot. I'd like a few percent of that, please. So yeah, that is interesting news. It seems to have come with quite the sigh of relief of most. People were very concerned about if Google bought Twitch, that then they would have, by all means, quite the monopoly over gameplay, let's play, gaming commentary, gaming competition, gaming content on the internet. Obviously, YouTube is the #1 source for your gaming commentaries and videos and reviews and playthroughs and walkthroughs and competitions and whatnot. And if Google was to buy Twitch, there were some questionable antitrust issues that would have had to have been addressed. So much to the sigh of the relief of most everyone, Amazon is the one buying Twitch, and Amazon has been known, when they do acquire other companies, they tend to acquire them and, instill them with funds, but also resources, and tend to let them still maintain their independence. Things like Zappos.com, the shoe place, was bought by Amazon. The only thing that happened is Amazon shut down its own shoe buying site, which was Endless.com, and otherwise Zappos has pretty much remained the same as it did before the acquisition. Woot.com, that whole system was bought by Amazon. Some changes there, perhaps not quite the crazy Wild West of a website it used to be, but Woot is owned by Amazon, and Audible, and there's a bunch of other things. So yeah, whenever Amazon seems to buy something, they tend to stay the same, as opposed to, say, AOL or even Google will buy something and then shut them down and just open up their own Google version or whatever of the same website. Ooh. And so yeah, to the sigh of the relief, which makes you wonder if maybe the sources... Careful, Wolfie! Careful, Wolfie! Oh god, I'm getting too close. I should have just ran away from that cactus. I do that because Wolfie likes to run into cactuses, and that hurts him a lot. You wonder, maybe the rumors about Google purchasing were purposefully put out there because that would make everybody worried, so that when the actual news came through that it was Amazon, everybody would be like, oh, that's the lesser of two evils. Even though, yeah, well, Amazon has been getting into some hot water over its kind of... It's been having some creative finagling with book publishers. By creative, I mean like blacklisting until they agree to payment terms and whatnot. So depending on how you look at Amazon, there's that. But yeah, you wonder. I just thought of that right now. Maybe that was some creative marketing by making everybody freak out that it was Google only for it to be Amazon. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. No, I don't know. That's not the term at all. That is not the term at all. But yeah, that happened. That just happened. There hasn't been much other than a short letter from the CEO of Twitch and a little bit of a comment, I think, by Amazon, but not much else has come of that. So far, they say they were keeping all their employees and their headquarters at Twitch, and nothing operationally is going to change. I assume they're going to be able to make use of Amazon's far more robust server and networking system than what they have been using, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what the deal entails, but very interesting gaming on the internet news, I suppose you could call it. Of course, in full disclosure, my weekly live streams take place at twitch.tv/KurtJMac. That really doesn't need to be disclosed at all, but yeah, that's some interesting news that just happened. Additionally, let's talk about me. No, well, actually, yes, but no, I've actually, this is separate, completely separate. But for those of you who follow me on Twitter, I've been having some issues with the internet since last Friday, this past Friday. Just really crummy downstream, like download situations. Everybody knows my lament for Comcast, the fact that I can choose nobody but Comcast for my internet. That's the way things work in the land of the free here, and have problems with the internet. It's been okay for a good couple of months, 3 or 4 months, where I haven't had any significant issues up until just this past weekend. It's very strange and very difficult to pin my finger on it. Apparently, a lot of people who have Charter internet, I know BOO is one of them. Charter had like a huge, like flat-out outage for Charter internet for a while, but this is unrelated, and certainly Comcast is far less revealing, far less forthcoming about whether or not there are outages in certain areas or not, because my account still says, "Oh, you're doing fine, no outages to report." And I'm like, but this is still happening. It's very strange. I look at the stats on my router, and the signal level. You look at all the charts and you Google what they mean. The signal level is like on the bottom of the threshold of what it should be. Like the certain threshold for this certain type of modem would be like 35 to 47 or something like that, and I'm 35 for the signal level. And certain other numbers simply don't make sense, but the upload, the upstream seems fine. I try to do speed tests, and the speed test will start, and it says I'm getting like decent 20 megabits. I usually am supposed to get about 40 to 50, but it says I'm getting 20, but then it gets to like 80%, 90% of the speed test, and it just halts and stops and just times out and gives up and never completes. I do trace routes, and the trace routes all fail, and they have to go through the full 30 steps of a trace route to get nowhere, quite literally. And even, simply browsing the internet, sometimes I can browse, other times I get to a site and like only half the images load. It's like once I get there, things start to load fine, but then at about 80, 90%, things stop loading, the JavaScript doesn't load. So I'm hoping that doesn't impede my abilities to upload this video today. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I might be able to upload it just fine. Like I said, my upstream is fine, but then having to get in and actually edit the descriptions and make it public and things would be difficult because the download, I can't get the full page to load. Really problematic. And then, yes, I finally did. I tried everything. Restart the router, reset the IP stuff on my network. I plug out of my switch directly, my computer directly into the modem. Same problem. Tried different computers and phone and things like that, and same result everywhere. And what else was happening? I even at one point, sometimes it helps to just unplug the router at night and leave it overnight and then load it back up. Nope, same problem. So it came time for desperate measures, and I'll tell you about such things in the morning. And awakeness. So yes, fun times. Those desperate measures included trying to contact Comcast support, something that I never wish to do. I try to figure things out on my own, or I live with the problems, because Comcast support is anything but. So I did that through Twitter and talked, and sure enough, they'll restart, try to plug directly into your router, blah, 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 blah. And of course, because I own my own router, I'm not paying $7 or $12 a month to let them rent me a crappy router. They say, well, we can't help you from here because you own your own router. We can't blah, 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 blah. So we can send out a tech. And I'm like, and of course, if it turns out to be our problem, there will be no charge. If it isn't, then ooh, we've got you by the cherries. Looking for a family-friendly word. So yeah, I'm like, okay, schedule a tech visit. The earliest will be in 10 days. Well, thanks. I really do appreciate the concern and expedited nature of your support staff. Oh, by then it's actually going to fix itself, I guarantee it. And sure enough, today, actually, for the majority of the day, it's been pretty crummy. Wolfie, careful, that's a little bit of a strange terrain there. For the majority of the day, it's been nothing but the same. Problems, problems, problems. I tried Google's DNS, I tried other DNS, and blah, 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 blah. It's not a DNS problem, it's a signal problem. Up until right before I started recording this episode, when I was looking around at the internet about this Twitch being bought by Amazon news, and things are loading fine, and I'm able to actually complete a speed test without it stalling out. So I've got this tech support thing I might just end up canceling, because they're not going to be able to help me. What are they? They're not going to be able to help me. What are they going to do? I'll just end up getting charged. Ugh, Comcast. So I will be very happy with the day, I don't have to deal with that stuff. And however, this is the best part. This is the best part of the whole thing. On Friday or Saturday, I can't remember when it was. I took to the Twitters to complain, and I said I'm having all these problems. And I made a joke about Comcast wanting to buy Time Warner Cable. Some serious antitrust issues going on there, obviously. I've discussed this before. I made a joke about blah, 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 blah. My internet's really crappy. Boy, really looking forward to having less choice when they buy Time Warner Cable. I got a tweet back from Time Warner Cable saying, "Oh, I'm sorry you're having problems. Let me know your customer number and we can help fix that." Ah, that was hilarious. It's funny because I'm not a customer of Time Warner Cable. Oh, man. So I retweeted that and said, you know, if you want any indication, any sort of evidence as to how this merger, this purchase from Comcast buying Time Warner is going to go for consumers, here's a preview of how well they grasp their consumers. They don't even know who's who. So that was kind of funny. That was kind of funny indeed, and quite appropriate. I suppose I could mention just some other actual news regarding that is Comcast and Time Warner Cable were looked at with a scrutinous eye recently because they pledged to fund. Comcast was going to give $110,000. Time Warner Cable was going to give $22,000 to put on a very swanky banquet and party for an FCC commissioner, Mignon Clyburn. I don't know how to say her name. I apologize, but they were going to put on this swanky party to honor this FCC commissioner. Like I said, paying $110,000 and $22,000. She's going to be receiving some award for service or something like that, and it just so happens that this particular FCC commissioner is in charge of overseeing the proposed merger between Comcast and Time Warner. Furrowed brow looks at them incredibly suspiciously. Yeah, I know, I said the same thing, Wolfie. And, you know, when asked about this by reporters, Comcast spokesperson said it was insulting. This is an insult that it's being accused that this is money that is used to influence the FCC's decision on whether or not to approve the merger between Comcast and Time Warner. That, my friends, is how completely out of touch they are with how the normal world works. Why, of course not. Putting on a very lavish, over $100,000 party for the person who's supposedly representing the people and the government? Balderdash. Crazy. Well, it turns out, based on all of the backlash, that they both pulled their funding from that event. At least, anyway, their upfront funding. Now they're probably just going to do it under the table, but you gotta say. Oh, man, that's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting indeed. And it all comes full circle. So yeah, hopefully my internet is running just fine and dandy. We'll see, I suppose. It's been 30 minutes since I've last checked it before I started recording this episode, so anything's possible. Anything is possible indeed. We'll find out, but hopefully that doesn't impede the video going up and future videos and stuff going up. What we got? We got plenty of food for Wolfie. So we'll continue on. I do have that. Yeah, see, that was all the news. I have like 5 little paragraphs here of news I wanted to talk about when last week I had nothing. But I do still have time to get to a question or two from Child's Play charity donors. From Akawa asks if I will be attending Mindcrack Marathon this year. Oh, dang it, I should have looked up when it actually was. It's September. I think it's the 2nd weekend in September. I'm sorry. It's happening, and it's a one-day thing. Mindcrack Marathon last year was a wild success, and the money raised for Child's Play charity rolled into the Far Lands bus total. We raised over $117,000 in 48 hours. This year it's a 24-hour thing, and if you are aware of it and you've looked at the schedule, you may notice that I am suspiciously absent from the schedule. That's not because I don't want to, or I don't have time to, or anything like that, attend. It's just that I'm not sure. There are certain events happening that month, next month, that I didn't want to, they take precedent, and I didn't want to put myself on the schedule. There's going to be a live UHC. It's not going to be an official UHC season, but it's a live UHC. Got some guests coming on there to do that live on the live stream, and some very fun integrations with the donations and things like that. But yeah, the Mindcrack Marathon is happening, but I didn't want to put my name down in a time slot to stream or to participate in anything because I'm not sure. Something might pull me away and I might be unavailable either part or all of that day. But I will do my best, obviously, to at least show up, perhaps in a stream, perhaps in an event. Not the UHC, that's something that they've planned far ahead of time and have a set amount of slots for, so not the UHC. I won't be participating in that. But yeah, I'll do my best. If nothing pulls me in another direction, I will do my best to attend Mindcrack Marathon, and I'll be sure to promote and retweet and all that fun stuff when that goes on. Of course, I'm doing a pretty terrible job right now. I don't know the specific dates off the top of my head. Just search up Mindcrack Marathon. You'll find the information. Or on Aurelian. Aurelian has an introductory. No, she put it up on the Mindcrack Network channel. So youtube.com/MindcrackNetwork will have the trailer and all the information on Mindcrack Marathon. But yeah, I just wanted to set that off. Make sure that's fairly clear. Let's see here. Well, the sun's going down. That's the one question I'll answer. And yeah, hopefully, maybe I should have saved a few of those news items for the next episode. But yeah, maybe we'll have more specific information about this whole Amazon buying Twitch thing, and we'll certainly see. I wonder if my Amazon Prime membership will get me anything special on Twitch eventually. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? We will see how that goes. But yeah, my immediate reaction to that as well is a little bit of relief as compared to Google. Because even though, yes, I am deeply ingrained into the Google ecosystem with my job and my Android phone and this, that, or the other, there do be monsters abroad. See what? There do be concerns in regard to them having 100% of everything I'm involved in. That's never. Let's actually make it up here. That's never a recipe for good times, as our situation with Comcast would very appropriately illustrate. Bleh. There we go. Interesting little spikies. Mountain over there. Cool stuff. Good episode, Wolfie. I think so. Doing all right. Might show up a little bit late in the sub feeds, but we're doing all right here. Let's dig out the... Yes, Wolfie agrees. Let's dig out the final hidey hole of the episode, of episode 396. And, of course, remind everybody you can keep going to farlandsbus.com to keep donating to Child's Play charity. That would be much appreciated. Let's fill in... Oops. Fill in that. Where is our workbench? There it is. Up. Bed. And bed, Bath and Beyond. Boop. Woof. Yeah, I know, I'm getting to it. Hold on. Let's make a couple boats. And there we have it. There we have it indeed. Like I said, thank you so much for watching. Please, those little likes, they always help. I have noticed that now that we don't have the pre-roll advertisements on, and I mentioned this during the last live stream, that it does seem I could be wrong. I could have my statistics wrong, but it does seem like we have more viewers. I should look at like the engagement, like how much of an episode people view. It seems like without the burden of a pre-roll advertisement, people tend to stick around longer. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe so there's something psychological there, but it's great either way. Well, it's great either way. You guys will enjoy Farlands of Bust either way. Trust me, it's awesome. I'm so weird. But anyway, yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Wait, no, I did that wrong. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. That's the way it goes. Ooh, we've got you by the cherries.